I think at this point, most people have just accepted that Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna be dead no matter what happens at this point. There is no possible future where Bethesda just suddenly magically makes Elder Scrolls 6 and it's even a semi decent game. I think this is easily the predominant opinion of most people who are even just a little bit following what's happening with Bethesda and Elder Scrolls 6 in general. Most people probably even, in fact, expect a disaster. I personally expect a disaster because I follow this a little bit more than most people. So, I know who the main writer is. Emil Pagolarino, the guy who quadrupled down on Starfield being a good written game. And, now we have Dragon Age the Veil God people joining who have made Andromeda, Dragon Age Veilguard, and a bunch of other shit that no one likes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, but it's the best. But it's the guy who made the best, most fun quest in Dragon Age Veilguard. Yeah, but it was still shit. It was just, barely better than the rest compared to the rest of the game that was abysmally bad. That's not a real compliment. That's not that's scraping the bottom of the barrel hardcore, okay? You're hardcore scraping. You're bulldozing that bottom of the barrel. You're finding China down there. It's not good. And yeah, I I think most people easily agree with it. All the hype, all the everything is gone. Like Elder Scrolls 6 is even gonna be set in Hammerfall just so they can fulfill diversity quotas because ESG scores are more important than actually making a good game. I I don't know what to say. If you think there's a chance that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be good, you have not been paying attention or you're an activist. Just lying about shit in the comments section right now.
So it is no secret that Bethesda have been criticised over the years for their poor writing, with each game entry seeing a further decline. For a long time, fans have called out for the studio to recruit new talent in their creative department, and now it appears that they finally reacted, just maybe not the way that fans had hoped. According to this article, Bethesda have recently hired John Dombrow as their senior quest designer. For people not familiar with his work, he was one of the main writers for BioWare on two of the most recent entries, Mass Effect Andromeda and Dragon Age the Veilguard. Both of these games received much criticism, with most of it being in regards to the poor writing in both entries. Dragon Age the Veilguard received particularly harsh reviews due to some of the subjects covered within the game's story. Bethesda's reliance on open worlds and legacy lore has long masked its weak storytelling, and for many, Starfield was the last straw. Games like The Witcher 3, Baldur's Gate 3 and Red Dead Redemption 2 have raised the bar for writing, exposing just how far Bethesda's storytelling lags behind its competitors. Bringing in the former Veilguard writer is Bethesda's way of bridging that gap. But will it work? In this video,
Of course it won't. Again, you're literally implementing already a pre-existing established failure because we have gone multiple times through the acolytes of the guy who they are getting as a main story developer, quest writer, whatever MacGuffin. And I mean, the guy, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's just someone who didn't get fired. It's literally just the work bio of someone who didn't get fired and lucked out.
I'm going to explain why Bethesda's writing has declined over the years, where they struggle most, identify why it's essential they improve, and I'll also cover John Dombrow's resume, past record, and answer the question, is he the solution to Bethesda's writing woes? Well, let's get into it and find out, and of course, as always, consider subscribing. So why do Bethesda need new writers now? Why are these issues only evident in recent times? Well, for that to make sense, we need to identify why their writing declined over the years. So back in '94, Bethesda released The Elder Scrolls 1 Arena. This entire game was made essentially
Damn, by the way, yeah, this is how the original entries looked. Kind of insane, huh?
By one man, the late Julian LeFay. Alongside Ted Peterson and Vijay Lakshman, they began making the first Elder Scrolls game. Originally, it was just supposed to be a fighting game, but once they started adding the stats, the decision making, the team building mechanics, they noticed it was looking more and more like an RPG over time, and thus they decided to make The Elder Scrolls, and its world was born. The first game was a rough draft, and the sequel, Daggerfall, would expand much further on the lore and the history in the world of Tamriel. With Daggerfall, Ted Peterson and Julian LeFay didn't just make a game, they built the foundation of an
Look at how actually unironically good this looks even now. That's insane.
entire universe, crafting
What is this, an upscaled version? I think this is the upscaled thing.
the vast living world of the Elder Scrolls from the ground up, the world that we know and love today. So it's important to note that everything about the series was made by these men. Anyway, fast forward to 2002 and Morrowind released under the direction of Todd Howard, and joining the team was a man named Ken Rolston. Now Ken Rolston was a veteran tabletop RPG designer, before joining Bethesda as lead designer on Morrowind and Oblivion. Now at Bethesda, he shaped the game's factions, their quests and the lore, bringing his tabletop philosophy of player freedom, moral ambiguity and layered storytelling into the series. His input was hugely important in Morrowind's success, which is considered not just one of the best written Elder Scrolls games to date, but also one of the best RPGs.
I played Morrowind. Okay, I didn't play the other one. I didn't play the Oblivion, the remaster, or Oblivion. I played Morrowind, boys. It is what it is.
He would then help on Bethesda's next project, Oblivion. When working with other writers, he would provide them a framework, a guidebook for how they would set up their quest lines. He'd include a basic plot summary, different branching choices, the story and lore of what they were writing about.
Nice.
Basically, he'd give the writer the outline and let them flesh it out from there. Now this was essential. One of the major areas he covered was the factions, and one of the factions in Oblivion was the Dark Brotherhood, which was given to Bethesda's current lead writer, Emil Pagliarulo. Now under Ken Rolston's leadership, Emil would follow the guide.
Yeah, by the way, again, people like Emil, I think, are a symptom of what's happening in the game industry by default the worst. Because these are people who were not bosses previously, like 20, 30 years ago, when the good shit was made, and they worked under someone. Under someone, they did a good job. So technically, even a loser like Emil is probably capable of making something good if someone just, has a whip and stands behind him. But led to his own devices, there's a lot of people who are now in leadership positions in these companies who only achieved actual good things under someone's leadership are now leaders who are not capable of doing the same, and whose ideas are not good enough without, other people input. And this is just how companies function. No, if you're at the top, people are not going to often say, hey, your idea is shit. Because that's a way that you get fired. No one wants to be fired.
So he was provided, and this faction storyline is widely considered one of Bethesda's best to date. So much so, Emil ended up getting a promotion. So, although Emil was credited with the Dark Brotherhood questline, it's important to note that Ken Rolston gave him the foundation. Now, after Oblivion released, Ken Rolston left, as did Julian LeFay and Ted Peterson. So all of this incredible writing talent had just up and left. And that's when Emil Pagliarulo took over. Bethesda suddenly went from having a giant team of talented writers to relying almost on one person. The last thing I just want to quickly touch on is when Bethesda acquired the Fallout franchise. Like how the Elder Scrolls universe was created by others, the Fallout world was developed by Tim Kaine, and Bethesda would take that established lore and run with it. So up until this point, we have two incredible universes in the Elder Scrolls.
I mean, when we were talking about when Bethesda took over Fallout, you kind of know that they kind of felt the best way is to technically call it a skin suit. Bethesda just made kind of a skin suit of what Fallout is. They took the core aspects like super mutants, the wasteland, radiation, ghouls, the Brotherhood, and things like that, and they kind of molded it into a completely different thing.
Scrolls and Fallout, with deep established lore. But the issue is,
And at the start, I'm not gonna lie, Fallout 3, good. Fallout New Vegas, good. Fallout 4, you can even argue is good. But Fallout 76, for example, I don't know how many here have played Fallout 76, but Fallout 76 is a disaster. And I'm not even going to talk about the bugs here, which is literally a 5-hour conversation in itself, and I'm not even over exaggerating. The bugs, the still existing bugs, the still existing non-graphic fidelity that looks poorer than New Vegas. It's just what Fallout 76 has now turned into. I firmly believe that Bethesda as a company is wants to turn Fallout into now not a wasteland survival nuclear apocalypse dead claws and stuff, but in like Cthulhu mythos horror type cultist type of things, because that's what 76 is. That is literally what the whole of Fallout 76 now is. It doesn't feel like surviving the wasteland. It feels like you're in some kind of parallel dimension where just there's a bunch of strange ass cultists and big mutant guys running around. It doesn't feel like Fallout. 76 barely feels like Fallout. It just feels like someone took a shit on the streets and that's why they're dirty, and then there's a bunch of... It just doesn't make sense. Like, in 76, if you pay attention, it's like, okay, it kind of feels like civilization is completely back on its toes, but no one ever fucking decided to just, take a shovel and put the rubble from there to somewhere where you don't see it, so, it's at least pleasant to walk around it. It constantly feels like that. It's just, 76 is not Fallout any longer. It really isn't.
the talent who created these worlds are no longer there to add to it. So after Emil became lead writer, he would add his own stories and side quests to new entries, such as Skyrim, Fallout 3 and 4. But in truth, the storytelling was pretty weak. Fallout 3's main plot had more holes than Swiss cheese.
True.
Only 30% of players completed Skyrim's story.
I didn't. I have never completed Skyrim's story. Like, why would you? It's ass. Like, seriously, it's fucking ass. Anyway, but Fallout 3's story is not great. This is how, by the way, the Fallout rankings go. And if you don't agree with me, fight me, okay? Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, Fallout 3. That's how and I guess Fallout 76. That's how the modern Fallout storytelling goes. And any disagreement is heresy.
And Fallout 4's story, well, it's often ridiculed online. Side quests were not much better, but...
Well, it's less ridiculed online than the current World of Warcraft story, so at least Bethesda has a W there.
The thing that masked all of this poor lackluster storytelling, the lore of the Elder Scrolls and the lore of Fallout, built by those who had already left.
Also, by the way, we're talking about a post-nuclear apocalypse with warlords, technically, but there's no warlords, by the way. Fallout doesn't have, like, the last time we saw anything even close to a warlord was Caesar. And even then, that was honestly more of a depiction of a society, but, a feudal monarchy style of society, if anything else like that. We just don't have it, okay? We're talking about franchises like Morrowind, Skyrim, Elder Rings, all of the Elder Scrolls, effectively. And we don't even have slavery in that shit. Like, what the fuck? Really? We're not even gonna have that because that's a touchy subject that they don't want to offend people with? That ruins the whole shtick. Fallout, honestly, is kind of the same thing. You just don't have, like, warlords or anything like that. It just takes away. This is what happened when games get wokeified in general. You suddenly just miss things that should kind of be obviously there in the world, but they're not.
Fallout 3's story sucked, but its world was incredible. Skyrim's characters were forgettable, but its map was outstanding. These
True.
already established IPs, with their rich history, would paper over the cracks. Add to this, players back then didn't expect both quality and quantity. Side quests were often shallow, simple fetch missions or filler content that players tolerated in exchange for massive open worlds. That was the norm back in the early 2010s. You either got 200 generic side quests in a massive open world, or a short, well-written story in a linear game. Quantity or quality, never both. Then, in 2015, The Witcher 3 rewrote the rulebook, delivering side quests with real stories, choices and consequences, raising the bar and making Bethesda's formula feel outdated overnight. They not only outshone Bethesda's side quests in quality, but also somehow managed to match them in quantity. After this game, we would see other games match this new standard, from Red Dead Redemption 2, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Baldur's Gate 3 and many others. Nowadays, having good writing in an open world RPG was no longer optional, it was mandatory. So, let's fast forward to Starfield.
True.
This was Bethesda's newest title and there was no established lore. Without this, Emil Pagliarulo would have to build a new setting himself from scratch. It didn't really work. He leaned on uninspired humans in space tropes. So, cowboys in space, pirates in space, and reskinned Earth culture. So like Starbucks in space and banks in
That is so funny because it's true.
space. Instead of alien civilizations or cosmic mysteries, players found copy-paste factions, bland towns, and forgettable, often procedurally generated side quests, combined with repetitive exploration.
Oh, by the way, I think this is DLC.
The result felt shallow and uninspired, with world building and writing widely regarded as Bethesda's weakest to date. Now, when you look at other space worlds like Mass Effect or Star Wars, among others, there is so much world building, and it's why fans love them. How Bethesda only landed on humans in space is beyond me. I've done a deeper video on this subject here.
The best part about Bethesda's human in space is how they're also homogenous at the same time. It's like the biggest difference you have in the humans in space is like one city is filled with cowboys for some stupid fucking dumb reason, and that's it. That everything else looks and feels the exact same. Like the first city, New Atlantis or whatever the fuck it's called, that you visit, that you are forced to visit. Everyone wears the same stuff. It's the dumbest thing ever. Like Starfield got literally nothing right about creating an interesting world. I said this before. The people who complained that Starfield is too much random generated have not been paying attention, because the stuff that's made with hand is fucking atrocious anyway. And then came Shattered Space, which literally proved me right once again, because then Bethesda did make stuff by hand, and it was worse than the random generated slop.
But here's the main takeaway. Without the established lore, as was provided with the Elder Scrolls and Fallout, Emil showcased that he did not have the talent to make up the ground, and his weaknesses were brought to the forefront. Add to this, he just couldn't keep up with the standards in video game writing that was introduced by games like Witcher 3, and he continued writing these monotonous fetch quests that gamers found outdated. Now, just to quickly touch on Emil Pagliarulo, he did a speech once where he taught aspiring game writers his philosophy.
So let's say, okay, we're going to write the great
That is so sad.
American novel. It's going to be this thick. And on every page will be written...
By the way, he got paid to do this. He's not there for free. Motherfucker got paid to teach people how to be bad at their jobs.
comedy and tragedy, and it'll be wonderful, it'll be amazing. And you're going to give this book, this great American novel, to the player. And what are they going to do with it? They're going to rip out every page and make paper airplanes out of them. And they're never going to see your story. They are going to spend 30 hours making shacks.
So, in other words, he's saying
No one likes the settlement building mechanic. I'm pretty sure 99% of people don't actually like settlement mechanics. Dead ass. I'm just being real here, okay? He has no idea what the players want. Motherfucker doesn't even look. Motherfucker didn't even care to look at the achievement list. What people actually have done.
Saying there is very little point writing an incredible story and putting too much effort into it because most players won't bother to read it. That's an insane take from a lead writer. He should want to write the best story regardless because it's what writers do. They write stories. Besides this, he has 3 rules that he follows, which are...
KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Write what you know. Great games are played, not made.
So his KISS mantra is where he tries...
Oh, I remember now. I remember this. I have seen this before. People already made fun of this. Great games are played, not made. The fuck does that even mean? No one knows.
To simplify stories and tries not to have more than one central theme as it might confuse players. Black and
my most hated part about all these games is when you have someone as stupid as Emil, as incompetent as him, who has critically failed multiple times in a row, and who somehow still fucking thinks that he's right, and that people are stupid and can't take in complex things, so that's why he's gonna write, simplistic slop.
White writing. So the good guy is good just because he's good, but then the bad guy's evil just because he wants to be evil. Like the Enclave in Fallout 3 asking the player to poison everyone. No reason, no motive, just evil for the sake of it. Now, the issue is, gamers are actually more intelligent than ever now, and they really do crave deeper, more complex stories, especially in RPGs. Witcher 3 handled morally grey areas, Baldur's Gate 3 gave players complete freedom, and Expedition 33 has wowed fans with its dark tones. So, Emil is out of touch with this KISS mantra, and this way of thinking is now outdated. Write what you know. Well, we saw that in Starfield as he literally just took what he knew, which was America, and moved it to space. He stuck with the familiar, Raiders, Spacers, Starbucks, Terrabrew, and Wells Fargo, Galbank. And that familiarity made the writing feel unimaginative. And finally, good games are played, not made. Now I can totally see where he's coming from with this, but the problem is, modern Bethesda titles lack any RPG decision making, so he's sort of working against that. Role-playing freedom has been stripped away over the years at Bethesda. For example, in Morrowind, you could kill main quest NPCs, faction leaders, even essential characters, and the game would adapt to your choices. Later titles like Fallout 4 and Skyrim scaled that back, instead focusing on linear plotlines. Nowadays, player freedom and choice consequence is more popular than ever as...
Hey, don't use Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's propaganda, and I'm not talking about woke propaganda, it's small hat propaganda, no, literally. At the end of the game, hey, you're one of us. Now help us escape through the tunnels! They literally added tunnels! Oh god. Vavra deserves the burst. I hope I'm pretty sure his next game is gonna crash, and I'm so happy about it.
Games like Baldur's Gate 3 and Witcher 3 have shown. So in short, for a long time Bethesda have needed to bring in new writing talent as their current setup has grown stale and has limitations. Their philosophies that they stick to have also grown outdated. Hopefully I've explained why Bethesda needed to expand their writing team. John Dombrow is the new man tasked with elevating Bethesda's writing, but is he the right man for the job? Well, let's take a look at his track record. At BioWare, he worked on Davrin's story arc and the Veiljumper storyline in Dragon Age the Veilguard, questlines that often felt one-dimensional, black and white, and juvenile. Exactly the same.
Yep. Oh, but it was the best of... No one cares. It's still shit.
Weaknesses that plague Starfield. His credits also include co-leading writing on Mass Effect Andromeda and serving as senior writer on Anthem.
Mass Effect Andromeda is horrible.
Games widely panned for shallow characters, poor dialogue, and uninspired storytelling. That's especially disappointing considering that both the Mass Effect and Dragon Age series were once celebrated for some of the best, most mature writing in RPG history. When you look at the Mass Effect trilogy, the Dragon Age series, these games were popular solely because of their great writing, their complex characters, and their deep role-playing mechanics. They didn't have the best graphics or the best gameplay, but the writing elevated these titles to huge success. Mass Effect Andromeda and Dragon Age the Veilguard were both poor in these departments, and it essentially brought about both series' demise. Dombrau walked into two franchises that were flying high and was part of the writing teams that delivered their weakest entries. Now, to be fair, he wasn't the only writer, and he did contribute to better received projects as well, like Telltale's Game of Thrones and Bioshock Infinite's expansion.
Telltale's Game of Thrones doesn't even count in my honest opinion. Like, you're adapting something already made. You're not really making something new.
Burial at Sea. But when you look at the major franchises he touched at BioWare, the pattern is clear. His style leans to simplistic, predictable, and risk-adverse writing. There's same
great bit at Bethesda?
Issues that fans already criticize in Bethesda's current writing under Emil Pagliarulo. Instead of bringing in a bold new voice to push the studio forward, Bethesda may have just hired another Emil. As I identified earlier, Bethesda struggle at writing complex stories with memorable characters. They struggle with RPG mechanics and decision making in their games. They needed an expert in those areas where they struggle to come in and help the team out. John Dombrau doesn't seem to have much experience in any area where Bethesda struggle, and it doesn't appear like he'll help.
Like, is this good? Or does this seem like a joke to you?
Fill in the gaps. And that's the real problem. Bethesda desperately needed someone who can close the gap with studios like CD Projekt Red, Larian, or Rockstar. Teams that are delivering mature...
I mean, the irony of this is, of course, when it comes to Rockstar, people are very worried about GTA 6 being woke. And there's good reason to worry, by the way. Then, when it comes to things like... What was the other one that he said?
Teams that are delivering mature, Bethesda desperately needed...
Oh yeah, Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk also has issues because the CEO is currently lying about the state of things. And, I mean, the first draft of Siri for The Witcher 4 looked like a fucking Vogue disaster.
CD Projekt Red, Larian, or Rockstar. Teams that are delivering mature, complex stories that set the modern standard. Hiring Dombrau feels less like a leap forward and more like a sideways move. Bethesda have fallen so far behind in their writing compared to other AAA studios, and whilst I think it's admirable that they're expanding their writing team and accepting that they do need to make changes, I just wish they would dream a little bigger. Go look at the team behind Tainted Grail.
True, based, bis, actually for real. Wait, is this the guy? Just as we agreed, I appreciate that you remember holding on tongue is the key to success. Keep it. I don't remember, is this the guy? But yeah. Again, Tainted Grail is a great game, okay? I played it, I talked about it, I loved it, okay? Even the small quests are pretty good in Tainted Grail. Like, one of my this is one of the starting locations, so I can spoil this one for you if you don't know. But one of the starting things in Tainted Grail in this location, if you talk to everyone, you get a bunch of quests. Some of them are annoying and some of them are dull, but that kind of teaches you a lesson that it's like, well, you can't do everything in this game if you feel like it, every quest, but some quests are just literally fetch quests, because... I mean, you're looking for quests. What do you expect? It's like, if you try to help everyone, someone's just gonna be like, yeah, give me a fur fucking coat. Why not? But some quests are great. For example, here, there's one situation where where a guy is like, oh boy, my sister, she's 12, she's so young, but she's so smart, she's so much better than me. She already knows how to write and things. She sent me a letter, but I don't know how to read. Can you read the letter for me? It's like, you read the letter and it's like, Dear brother, mom is dead, dad's dead, I am dying from the plague, shit's not chill, yo. And then you need to choose what you tell the guy. Are you honest with him, or do you lie, or what's happening? It is so good. It's like, hey, wait, what? What? Oh no! He was so happy just now, and now it's like, oh, his family's dead. Shit's great, okay? And there's Tainted Grail is so good at subverting expectations, okay, in the best ways possible, honestly. Again, if you want a good game like fucking Tainted Grail, here you are, just play it, it's great.
Or the team behind Fallout London, or even go and poach someone from one of the big boys like CD Projekt Red. Go find the top talent and go get it. Identify what you're weak at and find someone who's strong in that area, who can help improve the studio. It's like...
And pretty much everyone in, see, Bethesda thinks they're the top dogs. That's kind of how these things work. It's a never-ending cycle of self-gratification and, oh, we're actually the best. No one understands it. Things like that. Anyway, that was ABV Gaming, 10 out of 10. Bye!